Who had the biggest fall from grace in history? Philippe Pétain was a national hero of France after World War I. He won the 9-month Battle of Verdun as a general and inspired hope and optimism at a time when it seemed like the war would never end. Fast forward to World War II and he became the head of state of Vichy France and was a puppet for the Nazis. He ran Vichy state in a semi-fascist manner and constantly sought to appease the Nazis to preserve Vichy's limited freedoms, including signing anti-Semitic ordinances and allowing deportation to concentration camps. At the end of the war, he was convicted of treason on all counts and originally sentenced to death before being reduced to life imprisonment by Charles de Gaulle on account of Pétain's advanced age and service during World War I. De Gaulle would later summarize Pétain's life as successively banal, then glorious, then deplorable, but never mediocre, and also the Marshal as a great man who died in 1925. The trouble is, he didn't know it. Jimmy Savile. Mega famous UK radio DJ and TV presenter. Did a ton of charity work. Was a Knight of the Realm. Post-death, he was revealed to be a massive paedophile, protected and ignored by those around him for decades. Edit. Savile not Seville. Bill Cosby. They say the worst part is the hypocrisy, but I don't think so. I think the worst part is the raping. Rip Norm. Most people are talking like the last decade, but Mary I of England came to my mind first. Overcame huge obstacles to her right to the throne because she had the support and love of the people. She defeated the attempted coup, ascended to the throne, showed mercy to the traitors, etc. Then promptly married an unpopular foreigner and tried to force everyone to follow her religion. If they didn't, they got burned alive. Then hubby skipped town anyway, and Mary slowly lost her marbles, and Calais, and kept burning people alive. History tends to remember her younger half-sister Elizabeth I a bit more favorably. Edit. OMG, what have I done, my friends? Tudor history is awesome, and dramatic, and insane, and fucking tragic, and very well documented by multiple contemporary sources. Go check it out. 100 years of more drama than you can imagine. For those saying Elizabeth killed more for religion than Mary did, here's someone who did some, sourced, quick and dirty math. Link also. Mary did all her executions over the space of her 5-year reign. Elizabeth I reigned for 45 years and still managed to execute fewer people. I am still sympathetic to Mary I, her life fucking sucked for about 1,000 reasons. Important update here. User Keith1USF has pointed out that Mary died on this day, November 17, 1558. I'm pretty sure we all need to go into the nearest bathroom, close the door, turn off the lights and say, Bloody Mary, 3 times. And just, hope for the best. Icarus. Well, if we're going there, I would argue Lucifer Morningstar. Jimmy Savile, if you allow for posthumous falls from grace. Let me paint you a picture. Here is the ultimate working-class boy made good. He worked as a coal miner during the Second World War. Once that was over, he tried a number of things. He was a professional wrestler for a while, lost every match, was a pioneer DJ, he essentially invented the job, and hosted a primetime TV show well into his 70s based on the premise of fulfilling outlandish dreams for kids. In his spare time, he worked as a volunteer porter at his local hospital and ran marathons, raising millions of pounds for charities, attracting a slew of honors. And while he may have been a bit eccentric, he was widely regarded as a national treasure. That is, until a couple of years after he died. Turns out Jimmy had a thing for young girls. Quite a thing. As it happens, he made Bill Cosby look like the angel Gabriel. We are talking one step below wandering around the TV studios where he worked with a 12-year-old latched onto his penis. He'd got away with it precisely because of his public persona. He successfully persuaded almost all the girls he abused that nobody would ever believe them. Benedict Arnold. Hero general of the American Revolution. One of George Washington's best assets. Felt slighted and overlooked by his contemporaries. Switched sides to the British, made no difference to the war effort. Died in disgrace in England. His name is now a synonym for traitor. Edit. Since this is getting some attention, for anyone interested in learning more about the man, I highly recommend watching Benedict Arnold. A Question of Honor, a TV movie from 2003. Starring Aidan Quinn as Arnold and Kelsey Grammer as Washington. Harvey Weinstein. He was Hollywood when he got outed for the pos he is, but this guy produced, just naming the top 3, The Lord of the Rings trilogy, 2, every Tarantino movie except Hollywood, and 3, Good Will Hunting and, subsequently, about every Damon or Affleck project from that time to his downfall. He's won more Oscars than any person could ever dream and has made more money off films than maybe anyone ever. That guy? Oh man. I think he fell the furthest, the hardest and the fastest. Well deserved though. Well fucking deserved. Roses are red, violets are glorious, don't try to surprise. Oscar Pistorius. Fritz Haber. A German chemist and Nobel Prize winner, he helped pioneer the Haber process for synthesizing ammonia. This is important, because it was a key ingredient in artificial fertilizer. His actions enabled the world to feed itself, unlocked the chemistry behind allowing us to grow food that outstrips the consumption of humanity. In the 1900s he figured out the chemistry behind allows us to make sure no one died of famine ever again. Providing we put in the input. It was now possible to feed the world thanks to him, and he laid the groundwork for further developments, at a time when much of the world was still illiterate and ruled by kings. He has saved countless lives from hunger. Untold millions. Unlocking a piece of science that changed the face of organic chemistry forever. Then came the First World War. If he were a sorcerer, it would be as if he turned to the darkest of arts. After saving the world, and gifting such an innovation to humanity, he then turned his mind to destroying it. He invented chemical warfare, designed chemical weapons from scratch, unleashed chlorine gas, and founded an entire dark science that bore the way to sarin, phosphorus, chlorine, and other unholy weapons of war used by war criminals and tyrants for the next century. He led brigades devoted to chemical war, recruited other renowned scientists to his cause, and turned the science most devoted to creation, and change for the betterment of humanity into another weapon. I'm a chemist. This science is the most used, visible, and strikes a balance between raw universal forces and physical applications. It is nothing short of the engineering of reality, shaping the universe like clay in our hands. And he used it to kill. On an industrial scale. And thanks to him, there will be no going back. In my mind, he is the greatest fall from grace. From one of humanity's greatest, to one its most forsaken. Jared Fogle. He started and ended his career trying to get into smaller pants. Started with a mild cholesterol problem, developed a child molesterol problem. Ian Watkins, former singer of the Welsh emo rock band Lost Prophets. Massively successful band in the scene. Turns out he dealt meth to fans to abuse them and then rape their babies, toddlers. Yes, you read right. I almost threw up when I read the indictment. Locked away for life, that one. The band has erased all music from all services as far as possible. It's tainted forever. By the time I was a child, Bill Cosby was so universally recognized as an icon of wholesome comedy that one of the most popular kids' shows of my youth was literally just a cartoon about his childhood. Now the legacy of that little cartoon show is tainted by the very subject of the show itself. That's a fall from grace. From being trusted to be a part of your kid's formative years, to becoming one of the most vile and disliked men of all time. OJ has to be up there. He was never the biggest star, but Mark Salling's fall from grace was massive. Went from the star of a primetime show to charged with child porn and dead in a matter of months. On that note, Allison Mack. Went from the actress of the breakout character on a long-running popular superhero show to a cult leader who trafficked women for sex and forced labor, blackmailed them, branded them, and tortured them.